Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, tonight we're going to talk about Biden's trip to Pennsylvania that never was. Now, why are we going to talk about that? Well, that's a really great question. Because he was going to go up there and he was going to talk about gun control, beg for some more of it. He was going to talk about police funding, irony. Talk about reducing crime, also irony. But he also mentioned some things in there that you guys might find reminiscent. Now, if you guys notice the pattern, the same one that I noticed when I was reading this information and researching, leave it in the comments below before I notice it. I will be very impressed if you guys can catch this, and if you've been with us for about a year and a half, it will stand out to you. So, let me know in the comments below. Everything is always in the description box for your review if you want to check my sources. And if you are new, we are always looking to earn that subscription. So if you think we're bringing value to the Second Amendment and passing the blessing on to the next generation, I would love to have you consider subscribing and turning that bell on so we can get more information to more people more quickly. And thank you in advance for your consideration. All right, so let's get into this. What little Biden was going to go up there to Pennsylvania before he got the old situation. Because only in the Democratic world can you get credit for something that you were going to do, but you didn't do. But since you were going to do it, you did it anyway. It's a very weird thing. But here's the notes from the WhiteHouse.gov of what he was actually going to announce today. Now, this is very intriguing. Takes additional common sense steps on guns to keep dangerous firearms out of dangerous hands. The president has already proposed an increased funding for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives by 13%. Talk about the infrastructure bill and the budget bills. So the ATF can hire new agents and investigators to help cities trace firearms and analyze ballistics from crime scenes. Interesting how Dettelbach from the ATF, the new director, said the gun crimes were in cities. Anyway. The president will also continue to call on Congress to take additional actions on guns, including requiring background checks for all gun sales, banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, closing the dating violence restraining order loophole. They've got a new loophole that was just introduced, and banning the manufacture, sale, and possession of unserialized ghost guns, which is interesting because the executive action that he signed and the ATF took action on under the DOJ is already in the Federal Register around ghost guns, so I'm not really sure what that's about, but that's not the main focal point here. Again, I'm going to show you the actual article of how he's getting credit of what he was going to do, but he never did, but he might as well have done. Check this out, and we're coming up on the pattern that I want to see if you guys notice. Check this out. Biden had planned to announce police proposals. Before testing positive for that situation Thursday morning, Biden was headed to Pennsylvania to discuss crime. Now, the interesting thing about that is Pennsylvania is one of the most contentious hotspots for the election this year. You've got a hotly contested Senate race and a gubernatorial race. Both are incredibly important. That's why we're focusing on this channel and driving towards November. But listen to what he was going to do, because remember, the Democrats are tightly tied to defunding the police, the rise in crime, all of these things. Everyone knows it. But Biden and his administration are trying to distance hard. And how are they going to do that? Well, with the money, of course. Check this out. President Biden had planned to announce proposals on crime and policing on Thursday, an effort to show he is confronting violent crime while responding to Democrats' desire for action following recent situations and the failure of police reform efforts in Congress. Who's that? Who did that? And also, the Democrats were 100% responsible for that through the defunding of the police. But that's not what this video is about. But they're trying to turn it. Even Biden, in his State of the Union address, was backing away hard from defund the police. They know it's a nightmare for them. Anyway, let's keep going. We're getting to that point. Biden had been scheduled to visit Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania to lay out the Safer America plan. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. That included expanded law enforcement funding to allow the hiring and training of 100,000 police officers. That's only an opposite stance of what the Democrats did for 2 years. For what the administration calls accountable community policing, according to a White House statement and senior administration officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to preview the announcement. Here we go. In this segment, tell me if any of these dollar amounts or anything sounds familiar. At the same time, attempting to seize on the momentum of last month's passage of a bipartisan gun control law, Biden was expected to propose nearly $3 billion to help communities clear court backlogs and solve homicides, a $15 billion grant program to prevent violent crime and reroute police resources, and $5 billion for community violence intervention programs. Anything in there sound vaguely familiar? Well, you've had your chance. I hope you left it down there because here we go. This is interesting. Going back to April 7th of 2021, whitehouse.gov, fact sheet. Biden-Harris administration announces initial actions to address the gun violence public health epidemic. Now, these are the executive actions that they put out. So here's the first thing I'm going to show you here. The American Jobs Plan proposes a $5 billion investment over 8 years to support community violence intervention program. The American Jobs Plan. Well, that's weird because Biden just today was going to do something in Pennsylvania for the Safer Jobs Plan. Was it safer? Let's see the exact quote. Safe America Plan. So you had Safe America Plan, then you had the American Jobs Plan. Well, let's check out NPR because there's something else that's very odd here. $5 billion for violence prevention is tucked into Biden infrastructure plan, April 1, 2021. So you had the Safe America Plan, you had the Jobs Plan, and you had the infrastructure plan. All three of those, across a year and a half, had $5 billion tucked in there somewhere for community violence prevention or violence interrupters. The same dollar amount, 3 different plans, 2 years, same administration. Does it sound like that $5 billion might be expected somewhere because you're trying to tuck it in every single possible way imaginable? I just found that very fascinating that $5 billion seems to be the dollar agreed upon that seems to be coming up again and again and again. Anyway, I digress. Let me know if you guys caught it and what you think in the comments field, but got one more thing for you. Biden has sought to find a middle path after some liberal activists adopted a defund the police slogan. Some liberal activists. Yeah, we call them Democratic House members and Democratic senators and Democratic vice presidents. Yeah, some liberal activists. That was hardcore on the Democrats' table, and they know it. That's why the Washington Post is carrying their water and saying, some liberal activist. Yeah, no, you all did it, and you're all going to feel it too. Anyway, Biden has made clear he believes the reform requires more funding, not less, going back to his State of the Union address back in January. The answer is not to defund the police, he said in May. The answer is to fund police with the resources and training they need to protect our communities. Well, that flies right in the face of everything that the Democrats have done over the past 2 years. But the reason that I brought this up was he was going to go up there and say more funding for the ATF. We need some more common sense gun control measures, say off his litany and slew of normal, everyday, boring talking points on gun control. And interestingly enough, that same $5 billion popped up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below. Is the $5 billion a random number, or do you think it's spoken for somewhere by something? And I will see you tomorrow morning on the Bullet Points. I'm Braden. See you later.